Welcome to the Morning Edition Extra. I'm Adelmi Ruiz coming to you from Alaska's News Sources Digital Desk. Happy Friday, everyone, and thank you so much for starting off your Friday and starting off your weekend almost with Alaska's News Source. Our top story: the Richardson Highway is closed through the pass after a natural avalanche hit the roadway. DOT says the closure runs from milepost 12 to 46, including the canyon after the slide impacted the north side of the canyon. Crews are sweeping the area to make sure no travelers are trapped, and both closure gates are manned. Crews will continue monitoring conditions and clearing debris. And the Richardson Highway is closed in both directions between Fort Greely and Paxson from mile 261 down to mile 184. High winds and blowing snow created dangerous travel conditions. DOT says visibility dropped fast with strong winds kicking up snow and making it unsafe for drivers. Barriers are in place and there is no through traffic until conditions improve. According to 511 DOT Alaska, dot.alaska.gov, it is expected to reopen at 9 a.m., but you can check the website to get the most up-to-date information. And now for the latest in our weather, as today is another first alert weather day and there's impacts seen throughout parts of Alaska. Here is meteorologist Aaron Morrison with that update. Aaron.
See some impacts in the form of snow, wind, and freezing rain. And of course, through the night, we've already begun to see that transition from snow to freezing rain across South Central, which will lead to some hazardous road conditions. Now, we've got this ridge of high pressure that's out over the Pacific Northwest, southern parts of the Panhandle. Embedded within that and these areas of low pressure out towards the Aleutians and Southwest Alaska is our atmospheric river that continues to pump in plenty of warmth and moisture. And this is also driving in some windy conditions, which is leading to that rise in temperatures. This is why we're seeing that transition from snow to rain and freezing rain this morning. Now, you can see winds have been gusting anywhere from about 25 to 60 miles per hour across most of the state. Of course, across South Central as a whole, current winds 25 mile per hour out towards Wasilla, nearly 45 in Palmer, and then from Cordova out towards Portage. Those winds have been gusting 30 to 40 miles per hour. But notice along higher elevations of the hillside out towards Indian as you head towards the East Turnagain Arm. This is where we're holding on to some of those stronger wind speeds this morning. That high wind warning continues along the Anchorage hillside through noon. Now, this system that's currently with us will continue to lead to additional rainfall accumulation as you head through the Susitna Valley, as well as over the Chugach Range, largely expecting to see some snowfall. But notice how this system quickly exits off towards the northeast as we welcome in the mid-afternoon hours. This is where we're going to begin to see clearer skies, and those temperatures will actually drop back down below freezing, which will pose a problem through the overnight hours. Our ground already frozen due to the bitter cold we did see from December into January. So any rain, any snow melt that we see will not be able to permeate that soil, and it has to go somewhere. So we will be watching some flooding potential across South Central, but any standing water as these clear skies arrive later today into the night and those temperatures drop, any standing water will quickly refreeze on those roadways. So be prepared for some icy conditions. Now into the weekend, you can see, through today, you can see how those temperatures quickly drop down into the 20s as we welcome in the evening commute. So your evening commute will be pretty impactful across South Central, but into the weekend, we will see clouds streaming back in through the day Saturday, and we'll be watching another round of some snow showers through the afternoon, which will transition to some possible wintry mix into the evening, as we'll still stay on the warm side through the day tomorrow. So we'll be watching for that into your Saturday. But as far as the morning commute, for today, make sure you top off those fluids as we will continue to see those messy roads, and watch those roads, which will be slick, and keep your hands at 10 and 2 as any slushy, icy conditions we see will prevent that traction or really lower that traction on your tires, and that will pull your vehicle So keep your hands at a 10 and 2. So you can see first alert weather today. There's that chance for snow, wintry mix into Saturday, and then temperatures steadily but slowly drop into the upper teens and lower 20s through the middle of next week. Meanwhile, as you head into the interior today, you can see highs also touching near freezing. But for Fairbanks particularly, you can see just this morning is a better shot of seeing some of that rain and wintry mix. We'll likely hold on to about a glaze of that ice accumulation. Now out towards the Alaska range, as you head through the western interior and areas north of the Steese Highway, this is where we'll hold on to that better shot of seeing some of that snow accumulation. Yes, Fairbanks, you'll still see some snow accumulation later this afternoon, amounting to about 1 to 3 inches, but largely expecting many locations to see the return to some drier conditions as we welcome in the evening hours and on into our Saturday. But by Sunday, we will be watching another system building in from the west, and that'll lead to additional snow cover for the interior. But temperatures will continue to remain warm for you as well. 32 today. We're in the teens and 20s through Martin Luther King Day. And of course, Sunday, we are watching that chance for some snow. And then by next week, while we still remain above zero, temperatures will steadily drop. 2 degrees Wednesday, back below zero by Thursday.
All right, thank you, Aaron. And street crews around Anchorage have been working around the clock to prepare city roads for this storm. According to Muni Street Maintenance, graders have been busy throughout the day whitening roads and pushing back snow berms to make room for rain and ice runoff, adding that as of yesterday morning, they were 80% done with their plow out, hoping to finish last night before conditions deteriorate. The Department of Transportation says its senders are ready to go. They'll follow the same priority plan as plowing, starting with the highways, then moving to major arterial roads. But the DOT reminds drivers, even on sanded roads, exercise extra caution as conditions worsen. And if you're planning a trip to Alyeska Resort, keep in mind the storm is not letting up on the mountain anytime soon and is expected to continue through Saturday. The resort has already clocked wind gusts over 80 miles per hour on top of the mountain, and they are preparing for gusts to reach into the 90s. That's along with additional snow and rain. Due to the severity and duration of the storm, Alyeska has shut down the upper mountain. The aerial tram and Glacier Bowl Express were closed down today. The ski patrol and snow safety teams are monitoring conditions around the clock, continuously assessing the mountain as the storm continues.
We are suggesting to expect delayed openings or terrain closures and to dress for extreme weather. It's really important that our customers and our guests ski and ride within their ability level, and good decisions from our guests are just as important as good decisions from us.
There is that soundbite that I wanted you guys to hear. Apologies for the delay in that. I figured out what was wrong, and now we are good to get going. So if you decide to go to Alyeska over the next few days, the resort strongly urges you to check conditions before you go and respect all mountain closures. Stay updated with 24/7 weather coverage with our First Alert Weather app. You can search KTUU First Alert Weather in the App Store to stay updated with that 24/7 weather coverage. And again, that is with our First Alert Weather app.
By the Office of Special Prosecution, I'm in complete agreement with what I take it.
And the man accused of giving a 16-year-old girl the drugs that killed her is now heading down a new legal path, with prosecutors pushing to move his case into the federal system. We're learning new details about the timeline prosecutors say led to a deadly overdose involving one of the most powerful drugs on the planet. Sean Mobley stared straight ahead in Palmer Court, showing little emotion as prosecutors detailed how his case would move to federal court. He's already pleaded guilty to federal charges for giving 16-year-old Elena Tonis the drugs that killed her in November of 2024, then dumping her dying body on a remote ATV trail where she died. Carfentanil is 100 times more potent than fentanyl meant for elephants, not for humans. Attorney General Lindsey Ingleson explained the strategy.
Mr. Mobley will need to do his federal sentencing first. Then the state sentencing will come next so that we can ensure that he's serving his time in a federal facility.
While Mobley awaits his rescheduled change of plea hearing for state charges, prosecutors say he's expected to plead guilty to those charges as he already pleaded guilty to federal charges last October. This is the first federal carfentanil distribution prosecution ever filed in Alaska. Both the defense attorney and the victim's family support the plan to coordinate the state and federal cases. Mobley is scheduled for federal sentencing January 22nd and expected back in state court, February 5th. He faces up to 30 years in federal prison and up to 20 years on the state charges, with the sentences expected to run at the same time. And President Donald Trump threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act in Minnesota. It comes as protesters continue to push back against immigration operations, resulting in clashes with federal agents and another shooting Wednesday night. Alaska's News Source's Washington correspondent Stephen Goin has the details.
Right now, there's already about 3,000 federal agents in Minnesota. If the president follows through here, it could escalate an already volatile situation. The ongoing protest in Minnesota now prompting a direct warning from President Donald Trump. On social media, the president said he'd invoke the Insurrection Act if the, quote, corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE. The Insurrection Act would authorize the president to deploy military forces to suppress civil unrest. The threat comes after a week of protests following the fatal shooting of 37-year-old Renee Good, the officer who fired at her, claiming self-defense after Good drove her vehicle in his direction. For his part, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has urged for calm.
We must protest loudly, urgently, but also peacefully.
But overnight, another shooting. Officials confirm a federal agent shot a man in the leg after a traffic stop. DHS says the man resisted arrest, while two other individuals allegedly attacked the agent.
During the struggle, the federal agent discharged his weapon, striking one adult male.
The Insurrection Act, which hasn't been invoked in years, was most notably used during the 1960s civil rights era, and it's been more than 3 decades since it was last used during the 1992 Rodney King riots in Los Angeles. Now, we're also learning that a federal judge has just decided to rule against an effort that would have blocked ICE operations in Minnesota. So the president says immigration operations will continue there. In Washington, I'm Stephen Goin. Right now, there's already about 3,000 federal agents in Minnesota.
And and Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado gifted her Nobel Peace Prize to President Donald Trump during her visit to the White House on Thursday. The visit comes as she seeks to position herself in Venezuela's future leadership now that former authoritarian leader Nicolás Maduro is arrested and in U.S. jail. The gift comes as President Trump continues to manage crises around the globe, including the ongoing protests in Iran. Alice Barr reports from Washington.
Closing out an eventful week on the world stage, President Trump is now in possession of a Nobel Peace Prize presented to him by Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado.
And a recognition for his unique commitment with our freedom.
She told Fox News the gift is on behalf of the people of Venezuela.
He deserves it.
The president called it a wonderful gesture of mutual respect, though it is symbolic, with the Nobel Institute saying the prize cannot be transferred. Machado's visit comes amid uncertainty over her role in Venezuela's future. Following the U.S. ouster of authoritarian leader Nicolás Maduro, President Trump said he did not believe Machado had the respect to lead. Florida Republican lawmakers hoping she'll prove otherwise.
She's the legitimate leader of the opposition in Venezuela. She proved it. She earned it.
President Trump has said the U.S. would run Venezuela until a safe transition can be made and praised interim president and Maduro loyalist Delcy Rodriguez.
She's somebody that we've worked with very well.
Citing her support this week of a U.S. sale of Venezuelan oil, while U.S. forces seized another oil tanker linked to Venezuela that Homeland Security says was illegally defying sanctions. All that as President Trump is closely monitoring tensions in Iran, noting the Iranian regime backed off planned executions of protesters after the president warned the U.S. could take action. U.S.-based human rights activists say more than 2,600 people have died in the crackdown on anti-government protesters, and the White House says all options remain on the table. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And now we're going to take a really quick commercial break. We'll be right back after these short messages, so stay tuned. And welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking around. The Trump administration continues to push for acquisition of Greenland as a number of European countries sent military personnel to the Danish territory to show support. Alaska's news sources Washington correspondent Emma Wolfhurst has the latest from Washington, D.C.
Despite pushback from Congress and the American public, the Trump administration continues to threaten control of Greenland. I'm Emma Wolfhurst in Washington with the latest. Despite pushback from Congress and the American public, the Trump administration continues to threaten control of Greenland. I'm Emma Wolfhurst in Washington with the latest.
Apologies for that. It seems like the proper video didn't get to load into our system, but we'll try to get that in before the end of this morning edition extra. So stay tuned for that. And as mentioned, a bipartisan delegation of U.S. lawmakers will meet with the leaders of Denmark and Greenland today to reassure them of congressional support despite President Donald Trump's threats to seize the Arctic island. The 11-member delegation includes our own Senator Lisa Murkowski and Republican Senator Tom Tillis, but is largely otherwise composed of Democratic Party members. 2 vans have been seen arriving at Parliament where the Greenlandic flag was flying. And in our nation's capital, Senate Republicans spoke out against the mailing of abortion drugs on Wednesday. Alaska's News Source's Washington correspondent Stetson Miller has more.
Republican senators on Capitol Hill said they're trying to put a spotlight on abortion pills and are hoping for tighter regulations of them. But people on the left say they're trying to undermine the scientific consensus on the safety of the pills.
Pro-life lawmakers began pushing on Wednesday for the Trump administration to limit the issuing of abortion pills through telehealth.
The federal government is allowing a chemical abortion pill to be sent through the mail that wipes out every state unborn protection law in the land.
Led by Senate Health Committee Chairman Senator Bill Cassidy, the lawmakers called for Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy to roll back a Biden-era rule that allowed the prescribing of abortion pills over the internet.
We want to advocate that we return to requiring an in-person visit by the doctor before the pill is dispensed.
During the Health Committee's hearing on Wednesday, the Republican lawmakers and witnesses spoke about how the pills are being mailed into states where abortion is illegal.
Abortions have tragically increased in Louisiana and other pro-life states since Dobbs because of the Biden administration's actions.
But Democrats in the hearing were concerned about the Republican push, saying safety is not the motivation.
We all know this hearing is not about the actual science or the facts, and it's certainly not about what is best for women's health. This hearing really is about the fact that Trump and his anti-abortion allies want to ban abortion nationwide.
Medical groups like the American Medical Association and the FDA have said that the pills like mifepristone are, quote, exceedingly safe and effective. And reproductive rights groups are worried that if GOP lawmakers succeed, it may have lasting negative effects.
There's so much bigger ramifications in these types of political hearings that are frankly really meant to politically exacerbate a debate that frankly shouldn't exist because we have 25 years of science backing this medication.
In Washington, I'm Stetson Miller.
And if you're still trying to figure out your goals for 2026, we've got some ideas for you. And one expert tells us that planning your future often starts with taking a look back at your life to see what you value the most. Consumer investigator Rachel DePompa explains in this Watching Your Wallet.
To get where you're going, you have to look back at where you've been, and that includes creating financial goals for 2026. Jerry Dale, the Vice President of Financial Education at Virginia Credit Union, says if you can tie your values to your financial goals, it's going to give you more motivation to actually follow through with them.
take a minute to think about, okay, what's really important for me? If there's more people that you need to consider, maybe have a family meeting and sit down and talk to your family about what are some dreams or aspirations they have for 2026, and how can we make those happen financially. And
one fun way to start is to make a financial vision board for 2026. Dream big, get the family involved, but Dale says it's also very important to make your goals very specific. Instead of I want to save more, make it I want to save $1,500 and break that out by how much you need to save each paycheck.
Figure out, okay, if a vacation that costs $5,000 in 5 months, I need to put away $1,000 a month. Be very specific each month on how, or even each paycheck, on how much you need to put away into that savings account.
Also, make that savings automatic so it moves into a savings account on payday and you can't spend it. Dale says consistently saving is more important than being perfect. Small amounts add up over time. With this Watch in Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
And the dropping temperatures can have a major impact on anybody's body. But for the millions of migraine sufferers in the U.S., the cold can also trigger an attack. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither explains why winter weather can bring on a migraine and how to prevent an attack when it's cold outside.
Extreme cold, changes in barometric pressure, and sudden weather shifts can create a perfect storm for those who suffer from migraines.
For a lot of people, that is a major trigger.
Dr. Ahmad Estamalik with Cleveland Clinic says winter weather can trigger blood vessels in the brain to dilate, causing inflammation and lead to sinus pressure. Both can increase the number of migraines. Avoiding those attacks starts with being aware of what typically sparks them, like certain foods, caffeine, stress, and sleep issues.
Those who have migraines know what they can do generally to minimize triggers.
Estamalik says to also avoid the extreme weather as much as possible. Stay inside when you can. Make sure you're hydrated. And he says not to load up on over-the-counter painkillers.
Too much over-the-counter painkillers for migraine patients can have a rebound effect. So suddenly they get into what we call rebound headaches. So typically we recommend no more than 2 to 3 times a week, and then really trying to minimize the other factors.
And while you can't change the weather, you can be prepared. Estamalik says to have rescue and abortive medications on hand in case they're needed when air pressure changes. Finally, if you can't find symptom relief, see a doctor.
There are a lot of ways to deal with, that sudden change in headache frequency. And that's where I think patients should reach out to their healthcare provider for that.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And an 18-year-old man in Arizona is being charged with murdering his neighbor. Officials allege he then began living in the person's home. Bail is set at $1 million. Sean Rice has the details.
I just wanted to come and pay my condolences.
Candles and flowers now sit in front of David Jimenez's home, placed there Wednesday by a woman he didn't know.
It's unexpected because it's close to home. And I have kids. I have a 5-year-old, I have a 20-year-old, and a 13-year-old, and say that happened to one of us on that side, It's just scary.
Less than 24 hours earlier, video from a neighbor who lives along Seeley Street in Laveen shows the large Phoenix police presence. Their investigation focused not only on Jimenez's home, but a home 2 doors down as well. Investigators discovered a gruesome series of events happened over the last 2 weeks. Jimenez's 18-year-old neighbor, Xavier Johnson, had allegedly climbed David's back wall, armed with a gun in late December. Court records say Johnson shot his neighbor 3 times while he tried to steal his money. Then he wrapped his dead body in blankets in his own backyard.
I was thinking about how someone could do that.
Investigators uncovered that after allegedly killing his neighbor, Johnson lived in his home for the next 2 weeks, driving his car around Laveen, using his credit cards, even ordering packages in his own name dropped off on David's front doorstep. This bizarre ploy came crumbling down this week when Johnson's mom and other family members reported not seeing their loved one or their neighbor in some time. A routine walk in front of the home revealing the stench of decomposing remains in the backyard. Court records say his own mom called for police, asking for a welfare check on her neighbor, only to find her son living inside.
Can't think of an 18-year-old doing something like this, and now he's going to be gone, spending the rest of his life in prison, if anything.
Johnson's arrest came early Tuesday morning as police descended on the home, placing him in handcuffs after he barricaded himself inside. For neighbors who knew David, their attention shifts to how he treated them, the kind of person you want living right next door.
He was kind of by himself, you know, but he was good to me. He probably, I don't know, he was good to me. He took care of me.
Neighbors say they'd been noticing the odor for days before the authorities discovered the body. And digging in the sand at the beach is usually safe and innocent fun. Officials say that wasn't the case for two Florida boys. Annette Gutierrez reports they built a huge sand tunnel that collapsed on them.
A day of fun and adventure for two friends turned into an unimaginable loss for their families. A cross now sits in the sand, marking the place of tragedy as a way to remember these two boys. George Watts and his best friend, Derek Hubbard, were just 14 years old. The boys' neighbor, Zachariah Robertson, says they were joyful, energetic, and the kind of kids everyone loved.
They were just being kids. They were playing in sand, you know. We always encourage our kids to get off the tablets, the electronics, to go play outside, and that's exactly what they were doing.
Sunday afternoon, Citrus County deputies responded to a call about two teens who had gotten lost near Sportsman Park. Authorities say they found the boys inside a hole they had dug after a sand tunnel collapsed on them. Unfortunately, both boys passed away, leaving an entire community mourning.
You know, they're definitely going to be missed, that's for sure.
Wednesday morning, the Watts family made the decision to donate George's organs. Robertson went to UF Health Shands Hospital, joining dozens of community members to support the family. He took this video showing a powerful moment of unity and prayer over the grieving families.
And just knowing that they're going to be able to save other kids with their donations, you know, and that they will live on somehow, you know, that's a blessing.
The teens went to Inverness Middle School, and the superintendent of the Citrus County Schools shared this message online, saying in part, quote, "The tragic events involving two of your students have deeply impacted all of us. The district will have support teams on campus throughout the week to help students navigating this loss." A day of fun and adventure for two friends turned into an...
And experts say kids shouldn't dig holes above their waists. They suggest filling in large ones before leaving the beach, and that's to avoid future beachgoers from getting injured.
The instruments that are made.
Apologies for that. YouTube is giving parents more control over how their teens use the popular video platform. YouTube has announced parents can now set time limits for viewing short-form videos on teen accounts. The time limits range from 0 minutes to 2 hours. Parents will also be able to set custom bedtime and take a break reminders. And if you happen to share a phone with your child, YouTube says it will make it easier to switch between teen and adult accounts. And in a world where screens are dominating, a teacher in Indiana is showing his students the incredible power of creation. He's teaching them to build their own instruments. Amir Abbas shows us how he's igniting a deeper appreciation for music and the power that it holds.
The instruments that are making this music were not purchased in a store. These instruments were built by students.
We've been building guitars. They're 3-string guitars, and it's really fun.
We are putting the whole thing together, and we're making it all by scratch.
The idea came from Memorial Park Middle School teacher, Mr. Reagan.
I was trying to find a way to draw the arts into what we're doing.
Mr. Reagan is an engineering teacher and was looking for a way to keep his students engaged.
The whole reason when kids get disengaged, they're disengaged because they don't know what's going on, and they don't know why they need to know this.
But kids know music.
Like you just put your finger down.
My favorite thing about music is probably just the way it sounds.
Now they build those sounds, starting with raw materials.
We make the fretboard out of wood, and we just saw, and then we hammer in the frets.
It takes many weeks, but the results are dazzling. Guitars and violins, all built by middle school students.
We definitely get to interact more. We also get to build things and actually be like doing things and like creating something rather than just answering questions.
Mr. Reagan is a really cool teacher because he allows us to make and do things that we would not normally do in another class.
The experience has left this Fort Wayne Community Schools teacher emotional.
It's like music touches you inside. You can feel it, even if you can't hear the vibrations, the energy that comes from it. It is just so powerful.
A power now being passed to his students.
There's a lot of sadness in this world. If you can sit and listen to some music that brings you some joy, that is the best thing in the world. I love my music, these kids love their music, and to see them enjoy it really puts it over the top.
And now we are going to take another very short break, so stay tuned. We'll be back with more content as we continue the Morning Edition Extra this Friday morning. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking around. Crumble Cookies has set the record straight on what the bakery chain is up to. Last week, rumors began swirling on social media that Crumble is developing a line of donuts. The Utah-based company remained tight-lipped but finally spoke out Thursday. It told USA Today the company is in fact testing donuts. The caveat is that doesn't necessarily mean its stores will be selling them anytime soon or maybe ever. Right now, the donuts are only in the early internal testing phase. Crumble says it does not have any plans yet to launch them. And if you thought to yourself, what do I do with this old Christmas tree after the holidays? You're not alone, but as it turns out, there's some pretty cool uses for them, like this. These animals at Brookfield Zoo in Chicago enjoyed some trees that were repurposed into fun enrichment. Footage from the zoo shows bison, camels, and reindeer scratching, tossing, and pawing at the discarded trees which were left in their enclosures. According to zoo officials, the trees offer a natural way for many types of animals to explore, forage, and groom. So perhaps that leftover tree has some use left after all. And it may be winter over here, but it's not winter everywhere. And at the Rio de Janeiro's Biopark Zoo, they're facing some extreme heat in their summer. So what are they to do but cool down with some tasty popsicles and frozen treats? Jaguars, monkeys, and other animals were given an ice diet prepared according to each species' needs. Some received frozen fruit treats, while others got some mixtures, including frozen blood. For the record, it was over 40 degrees Celsius there, which is about 104 degrees Fahrenheit. And the big question, hard to resist or a hard pass? The subject, soup-flavored hard candies. Progresso is bringing back its hard candy-like soup drop for National Soup Month. The flavors are chicken noodle, tomato basil, and beef pot roast. The company is offering a bundle which includes a can of actual soup. It's available in January while supplies last through Walmart. That is very interesting, but as I've said before, I am open to trying anything once, so I'll go ahead and give it a taste. Who knows? Maybe it's not as, and I'm not sure. I'm not even sure. I hope I like it. Let's just say that I hope I like it. Well, thank you so much for watching the Morning Edition Extra. Thank you so much for joining us here at Alaska's News Source and starting off your morning with us. And have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you again right back here at noon. Have a wonderful day.